All right, today we're going to introduce a process, the for loop, that is going to enable you to do a lot of fun things. And we really haven't talked about anything like this yet, because the for loop is going to, in JavaScript, lets you dynamically run through a list, and then create a page dynamically. And so, what does that mean? I probably should have shown this to you first, but we did in our last lesson. We have our array here of countries, and I've started you off with this. But what the for loop does is it can run through this list, and you know what? Let me just show you. It's better to just show you. So I'm going to create a function here, and I'm going to call it show countries. And remember, this is I've been programming more and more in JavaScript. And I'll tell you, you think that making sure that you don't have a missing, greater than less than sign or a quotation mark is important in HTML. At least in HTML, you see very quickly what's missing, because it doesn't show up on the page. With JavaScript, the page just doesn't work. So just be aware of how important that is. So let me come in here first. I'm going to say document get element by ID and capitalization, right? Because this doesn't work, whereas this does. Country list. I've set up a div down at the bottom here for us to populate. Yikes. All right. And inner HTML equals, and I'm just going to say equals countries. All right. Now this is an array, right? Created as an array because of my brackets, and I go 0, 1, or 0, 1, 2, 3. But if I say countries, then it's just going to show the entire array and display it with probably with commas separating it. Right? Okay. Well, that's cool. And if I want to do one individually, I can do that. But what I want to do with my for statement is I want to go through and dynamically create a bulleted list of this information. So I'm going to come in here, and this is the important syntax. You're going to use this over and over again. So I'm going to say for, and I create in this parentheses a little programming logic. Okay, first off, I'm going to use a counter, which is going to be a variable I. So I'm going to start off and make I equal to 0. And then I'm going to say, as long as I is less than the length of my array. Okay? So remember, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to continue running this segment of code. I'm going to put some code in here. I should have said that first. Let me put that here. So this is where I'm going to put what I want it to do, okay, in between my curly brackets. But I'm telling it that I want you to run this selection of code while this is true, okay? So I'm starting off I equals 0. Then I'm going to say I want to keep doing this for as long as there are elements in the array. And then here I want to add 1 to the array, and that's what plus plus does. It just adds 1. All right. So starts off I equals 0, and then it says keep doing this for as long as the number I is less than the count of elements in the array, and then every time you do it, add 1 to the array. So it's just going to cycle through. It's going to go France, Canada, Russia, USA, England. Okay. So start the variable off as 0. Check to see that the number is still less than the number of elements in the array, and then add 1. Okay, now here's the cool part. That is going to run whatever we have here. Now what we can have here is very simple, right? We could just go in there and say, well, let me show you what I do sometimes. So I'm going to create a variable called text, and I'm just going to make it blank. But then what I want to do here is I want to say text equals, actually plus equals. That means that I'm going to take the text variable here, and I'm going to add whatever is to the right of this to it. And that's one way that I can create a variable that has lots of things in it. All right, so some of the stuff I'm saying can be a little confusing. You'll see it when you see it. All right, here we go. So text equals, and then what I want to do is I just want to take the countries, right, variable, or the number of the array, but I'm not going to define the number of the array as 0 or 1. I'm just going to have it be the whatever number I'm on right there, right? So when it first starts, it's going to say 1, and then or 0, and then it's going to be 1, and then it's going to be 2, and then it's going to be 3. Okay. So look, right now I'm just adding this to the list. I'm cycling through and getting whatever the appropriate array element is, and adding it to this variable text, which starts off equaling blank, but it's going to very quickly go on. So let's just see what that looks like. Okay, text. So let's remember what we got. Our array. I'm defining this as blank. Then I'm creating this for loop, which starts off at 0. It's going to keep going until this is true. I is less than the number of, or I'm sorry, it's going to keep going while this is true. As long as I is less than the number of arrays, it's going to keep going, and every time it's going to add 1 to the array, okay, or to the counter. And then in this situation, it's just going to it's going to go grab whatever the appropriate element of the array is and add it to this placeholder, which is text, and then I'm going to come down here and display it. All right, so it's a long way to get to showing how this works. Okay, now that's not that different than what I had earlier, right? Earlier it was separated by commas, and now it's separated by this, by nothing. But here's the really, really cool part. All right, so now let's say I don't want that to be just blank like that. Let's say I want to have a space in between it. Well, look what I can do here. And the syntax is very important. I have a plus sign, and then I use my quotes to put whatever the code is that I want. So right now I just want to have a space, okay? Now what that's going to do is it's going to create, all right? Now what if I wanted to put in a line break? Now this is where it really gets cool. I can put HTML code in here. Yeah, all right. Now you're like, boy, that took a long time, Mr. O'Leary, to get to what we were doing, but you can see what's happening. This for loop is cycling through the array based on this logic, which you're going to use over and over again, and then whatever is in between the curly brackets, it will produce, and it's filling this variable with this code. So let's show something else that you could do. Let's say I wanted that to be a bulleted list, okay? So how would I do a bulleted list? We know what a bulleted list is. That's an LI, right? But I have to put the code in. So I put in quotes, I put whatever code I want, LI. Now remember, I have to, this is the, for lack of a better word, this is the variable. All right, this is the JavaScript stuff that I'm trying to put into this variable. So I need, whenever I'm including a variable or JavaScript or anything like that, I need to put in my plus sign. So the code that the browser is going to look at and use to display stuff needs to be in quotes, but then this is going to be plus. And then here I would do my end li. All right. Now those of you who are sharp probably seeing that there's a problem here. Let's run what that looks like. So again, it's cycling through the array, taking whatever this value is and putting it in between my HTML tags in order to display it a certain way. All right. Ultimately, it probably shows up. That may have a browser issue, but if you really want to make it right, then you come down here. And what I need to do is put in my begin end tags, all right? So Now I'm creating the URL, or I'm sorry, the HTML for the ordered list here, adding it to this variable, which now has all my LIs in it.